Is it too early in the season for a fist pump? Maybe. Having said that, mm, Mariners win 4-2. They improve to 1-0 on the season, and they take the first of the 4-game series against the Athletics. Go over the scoring plays. There's not very many. Tyler Soderstrom hit 2 home runs. The Mariners get one on a sac fly from Victor Robles. They get one on a game-tying homer in the 8th off Randy Rosarina, by Randy Rosarina off Jose Leclerc. And in that same inning, Jorge Polanco hits a 2-run homer to give the Mariners the 4-2 lead and ultimately the victory. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone to check out simplyseattle.com, the very best in Seattle sports gear. Great stuff for the Mariners, of course, but the Supersonics, Huskies, Cougars, Sounders, Storm, Seahawks, Kraken, you can find it all at simplyseattle.com. And if you use code MOLLYWOP15, MOLLYWHOP15, you save 15% off your order. It's a great deal from great people. I'll link in the description to make it nice and easy. But before you check out, make sure you enter that code. So much good stuff there. And I thank Simply Seattle so much for sponsoring the show once again in 2025. So those of you who are new to the channel, hi, my name's Chris. It's nice to meet you. Last name's Crawford, if you care. I work for NBC Sports. I also write for Emerald City Spectrum. I got to write an article on this game right afterwards, so I'm excited about that. But I cover the Mariners a lot, and I've loved the Mariners for a long time, and I recap every single Seattle Mariner game. I'm talking too fast. After these games, we do it like this. When they win, we talk about the negatives and we end with the positives. When they lose, if they ever lose, they're on pace to go 162-0. If they lose, we start with some positives and then end with some negatives. Here's a negative. I don't have the box score. I don't know why I needed the box score. Maybe it's just a reminder of the players, but it's pretty obvious what the negative here is. This offense stunk for 7 innings. It really stunk for 6 innings. Things started to go a little bit good in the 7th. But for 7 innings, this team was shut out and looked bad doing it. So much weak contact. And look, I want to give Luis Severino some credit. Like, for instance, the strikeout to Rowdy Tellez to end that inning was a perfect pitch. A perfect pitch. Having said that, the Seattle Mariners missed some very hittable pitches tonight. And that's going to happen early on, but we can only react to one game. And tonight, the Seattle Mariners missed a lot of hittable pitches. Looking at the individuals who missed some of those pitches, Julio and Big Dumper all draw walks, but man, did they miss some good stuff. And unfortunately, Julio swings at a horrible pitch in his first at bat. Does draw a walk the next time, but that's not going to work. You need more from those guys in particular. Rowdy Tellez, while he did, was victim of that perfect pitch, some other really bad at bats, does get hit, so he got on base, but didn't look great. And it's worth pointing out that as good as Rowdy Tellez was over the summer for the Pirates, he was atrocious to begin the year and end the year. There's lots of bad that comes with the good with Rowdy Tellez. Honestly, more bad than good. We'll see if it works out. I get trying it. There's a lot of reason to be skeptical of it. Victor Robles does drive in a run, but didn't play a very good game. The offense was bad. Okay. Dan Wilson, I love you. You're one of the most important Seattle Mariners in history. I know that's darning with faint praise a little bit, but you are an important Seattle Mariner. You were a catcher for a very long time. You were one of the best defensive catchers in baseball, and you won 21 of 34 games managing the team last year with 0 experience. I don't think you managed a very good game today. And it works out, but there were some decisions I really didn't like. Now, Jorge Polanco, who we are obviously going to talk about in the positive section in a second, it turns out that he was trying to bunt for a hit. When I thought that was a sacrifice bunt for a second, and then I realized it couldn't have been, and then he confirmed with Jen Mueller that it was not. Okay, I get it. You're trying to get on. I disagree with that decision, because of how well he was swinging the bat. Again, more on that later. But I thought it was a sacrifice bunt, excuse me, for a little while, and I was apoplectic. To do that with one out would have been just one of the silliest decisions ever. The decision to try to sack bunt with Victor Robles was all Dan Wilson, and it was a bad one. Swing the bat. This offense is not good enough to give up outs. It's just not. And if you want to make the argument, well, Chris, it's such a close game that one run means so much. I agree with you, which is why you can't give up outs, because it's the only way you're going to get runs is not to give up outs. They're just not good enough to do it. And bunting has become so hard. Pitch movement is so. Victor Robles didn't come close to bunting that baseball. For those who missed it, Robles tries to lay down a sack. It goes over underneath, his bat. It goes about 90 feet, and Ryan Bliss almost scores a run. In fact, he should have. And to be fair to Ryan Bliss, who is also going to get talked about in the positive section, a horrible slide at home plate. Horrible. Horrible, horrible. Those feet have to get down. Have to. So, but just the decision to bunt there, I don't know where the so came from, to be honest with you. Really, really disliked it. And most of all, the decision to go to Trent Thornton in that situation is just, I know that the Mariners have data that we don't have that loves Trent Thornton. And there's some data that backs up that Trent Thornton is a decent little reliever. I have seen this dude fail in high leverage far too often. Far too often. When he brought in Thornton, and look, it's a kind of a tough situation. We'll talk about Logan, of course. It's kind of a tough situation because, they've got a couple of righties up after Soderstrom. You're not going to Thornton there in a tie game in the 8th inning. That's bad managing. Or it's bad intel that he's getting. I'm sorry. I don't care about that data. So often in high leverage situations last year, he failed. He can't be that guy. Maybe Gregory Santos isn't ready to go. Maybe they don't feel confident in Gabe Spire facing right-handed hitters right now. Can't be that guy. Can't be. And it almost cost them dearly. Any other negatives tonight? It's a little disappointed in the crowd, but I understand. I do understand. Let's talk about the positives. I could go on and on about Logan Gilbert. Dude's a stud. Dude is an ace, and he pitched like it tonight. That splitty was filthy tonight. He made one mistake, a slider up to Soderstrom, and good for Soderstrom for taking advantage of it. But outside of that, Logan Gilbert pitched as well as any pitcher who pitched tonight. And I watched a lot of baseball today. Had to. I love my job. But Logan Gilbert was dominant tonight. The command was excellent. Made one mistake. And unfortunately, this offense was so bad it almost bit him in the tuchus. But Logan Gilbert was phenomenal. Andres Munoz did issue a walk, but gets a big strikeout, gets the double play. Terrific play by J.P. Crawford. When I talk about my issues with J.P. Crawford's defense, I want to make this abundantly clear. It's not because of his ability to charge a baseball. He charges a baseball as well as anyone. His range left to right leaves a lot to be desired, but he made a terrific play there. And, I'd prefer to not see Munoz throw walks. By the way, Ryan Roland Smith, if you're watching this, I don't know what you're talking about with the walk rate with Andres Munoz. It was worse last year. It didn't get better. And unfortunately, he issues another free pass tonight, but his stuff is so good that he's able to work around it. So that was, I call that a win by definition for the Mariners and for Munoz to be able to work around that. All right. Offensive positives. There's really 3. Let's start with Ryan Bliss, who, again, I criticize for. It makes sense to go to Bliss here, too, because he draws the 2 walks. He steals the base. I like the aggressiveness he showed on that missed bunt. He's just got to get a better slide down. But I really like how assertive he is at the plate, but he's not afraid to not swing the bat. A lot of young players are afraid to either swing the bat or are afraid to not swing the bat. There's no fear with Ryan Bliss. And he gives the team an energy. He gives the team kind of that bounce. And that's one of the reasons I like him in the lineup. Now, he should be hitting at the bottom of the lineup. Of course he should. But I like him at second base more than Dylan Moore. And I imagine it's going to be a fairly even split. But, and then, of course, we have to talk about how good he was defensively, because of the very few hard balls that Gilbert gave up outside of the homer, Ryan Bliss was fantastic. Made a couple of really good diving plays, showed good range, got rid of the ball quickly. You know, he had issues sometimes in spring with his hands. Didn't have any issues with his hands tonight. Terrific game. Luke Rayleigh had a nice game too. You know, gets on, gets a hit, you know, stung a baseball and then got a bleeder. Guess which one was the hit, because that's how baseball works. So a solid game from him. The Randy homer was just massive, because this would have been, I'll be completely honest with you, I was prepared for a long rant tonight. A long rant about how unbelievably repetitive this game was compared to last season. It looked like a replay. I joked about it on Blue Sky. Follow me on Blue Sky. I joked about it that it's very early for Root Sports to be showing replays, because it was that game. And then a horrible slider from Jose Leclerc. I think it was a slider anyway, down the middle of the plate. And you could just see the clockwork orange eyes opening for Randy Arozarena, and he just mashed it. And I saw people say, what a bat flip. That is not a bat flip. That is just taking your frustrations out on a bat and just throwing it like something. Oh, it was big. And look, Randy has looked great all spring. And, you know, people talk about whether or not locked in is real or not. Here's what I'll tell you. I've watched a lot of Randy Arozarena, a lot of it in the postseason. And when he's at his best, there are very, very, very few who are better or have better production. So it's great to see him get off to a great start. And then, of course, Polanco. I mean, you can't overstate how important Jorge Polanco is to this team, because they are betting on a bounce back. Is some of it betting on a bounce back because the Polanco market was even worse than they thought? I think so. But they certainly are betting on it. And to have a game like tonight is awesome. It's awesome. And you could tell with Polanco's interview after the game how much this meant to him, how much Jorge Polanco wanted this, how much success in this opener meant to him. It could have been much better. Yeah, the bunt decision was a bad one because of how well he was swinging the bat. But 3 for 3 with that 2-run homer to basically give you the win. Oh, that's great. That's great. And it's nice to see. It's nice to see the Mariners win a game like this, because they lost so many of them last year. And yes, there's 161 to go. But there's no denying that the Mariners lost a lot of games like this last year. It feels good. It feels good. So tomorrow, we got the Mariners playing at, I think, 6:40. It's probably 6:40. If it's not 6:40, it's 7:10. Why not look it up while you're talking to people? Yep. Luis Castillo against Jeffrey Springs. Very interesting pitching matchup. Jeffrey Springs, it was not far removed from being a really, really, really good pitcher. The A's are interesting. I picked them to finish 4th in that division, but I will not be shocked if they are a really pesky team all year. By the way, Jack Wilson only gets the one. Jack Wilson. His son, Jacob Wilson, only gets the one hit. I can already tell that guy's going to be a pain in the ass. Sorry for the swear. Shout out Pioneer Elementary School. Pain in the butt for the next decade. I just know it. The same way David Eckstein was a pain in the butt. The same way Nick Allen looked like he was going to be a pain in the butt. Jacob Wilson's going to be a pain in the butt to a lot of teams, but it just kind of feels like the Seattle Mariners. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. I really appreciate the support. I appreciate everyone checking out all the videos I've posted lately. It means a lot. Check out My Hawaii Enthusiast. It's $4.99 a month. It really helps me. Check out Emerald City Spectrum. It's $6 a month, and it really helps me. And you know what really helps me is when the Mariners win games like this. I love you guys.